Hello knitters, Barbara Benson here. I'm an independent knitwear designer who also likes to make videos here on my YouTube channel, Watch Barbara Knit. Make sure to check in the description below the video where you will find links to all my social media outlets. You can find the Watch Barbara Knit Facebook group and join us. See all the places you can get my patterns online to knit for yourself and find out how to support me on Patreon. You will notice, if you have watched my videos today, that we are in a bit of a different environment, if you will. I have a pattern to show you today, and it necessitated, there's no way I could do it sitting in my chair at my desk because you're just not going to believe this. So it's a bit of a story, and I'll tell you after I finish everything, but here it is. Look at this. Okay, you can see why I had to be here on my bed. It's massive. This is my poof. This is called, I can't even, it is so big. Look at this. Ah! This is the Dewberry hassock. It is a poof or an ottoman. I called it a hassock. Actually, there's so many different words for it. And so I called it the Dewberry hassock because hassock is another word for ottoman. You know, I love me some thesaurus.com. And this is quite possibly one of the biggest things I've ever made. Look at it. It's enormous. It's the size of a spare tire. The official size is that it's 16 inches, which is 40.5 centimeters, and in tall, so that's how tall it is, and it's 26 inches, 60 centimeters in diameter. So that's across. I have no idea what the circumference is. It is absolutely enormous. It is the biggest and squishiest thing. This is not a brand new pattern, but it was created in collaboration with Craftsy, which then became Blueprint, which, if you follow the knitting world, is now no more. But I knit it and then sent it to them, and they photographed it and they sold it. I mean, you could get the pattern separate, but they sold it as a kit. I designed it with their yarn, and they have had the sample ever since it was, you know, born. And I never had a chance to make a pattern tour video about it. But since the Craftsy is closing down, Blueprint's closing down, they sent it back to me. I got this giant box in the mail, and so it is home, and I thought I would do a pattern tour video about it. Now, it is knit in the round, and the color work is Mosaic. So this is slip stitch. So you're only ever working with one strand of yarn, well, one color of yarn at a time. I don't say strand because this was knit in worsted weight yarn held double. So whenever it's the kind of creamy off-white color, it's 2 strands of that you're running at the same time. And then this was a long color change / variegated yarn that was held double. So color A is 2 strands and color B is 2 strands. You treat them like they're 1 strand, but you're only ever working with one of those colors at a time. If you didn't want to do it in worsted weight, 2 strands held double, 2 strands of worsted held double is bulky. So if you had a bulky weight yarn, you could definitely do this. I just can't stand how fun it is. It's so squishy. You can do it held double. I mean, you can do just bulky by itself. It takes a size 10 needle, which might be a little smaller than you would think, but that's so it's dense enough to hold the stuffing in. But as I said, you need a 47 inch, 119 millimeter. I think that should probably be centimeter. I think I just found a typo on my pattern. Sorry about that for people who use metric. Pretty sure it's supposed to be 119 centimeters. It's the length of the circular needle so that you can get all the way around the circumference. And of course, you know, you can either magic loop or you might have to go down to DPN. So the way that this is constructed is it starts with a circular cast on using just your base color. And then as you can see, it increases out in this really cool sort of whirlpool-y pin wheelie type thing. I'm gonna make a video on how to do this circular cast on. You can use whatever your preferred circular cast on is. Now, make sure that you understand that this is casting on like in a circular cast on as opposed to casting on to knit in the round. You gotta start with the center little bit. There are multiple different ways to do it. I use a technique that doesn't require a crochet hook, but a lot of people use a crochet hook beginning, whatever you prefer to get you started. I found that it was super fiddly. So all of these increases, this increase point, I decided, is this the beginning? You know, it's hard to tell the cast on. No, this is the cast on side. See? Yes, this is the cast on side. See, I told you they match so well. This is the decreases. This is the increases. You can tell because see how they're a little more open? The way I did the increases here is all the increases are yarn overs, but on the following round, you knit them through the back loop. So that closes them up. It twists them, but I found, especially at the very beginning, it was very fiddly to do a bunch of make ones. So like at the very beginning, we've got knit front backs, and then we go to yarn overs, and then you just knit those yarn overs through the back loop so your stuffing doesn't come out. If you prefer make ones, you can totally do that. So you knit, and it's just a really simple circular pattern until we get to the point where it's the diameter we want. And then we start bringing in the color work, and the color work is just stripes. So you knit 2 rounds in the color and then 2 rounds in the base color, and you switch back and forth between the base color and the contrast color and the base color, main color. And when you slip the stitches, you can see, I can barely reach. You can see right here. See, that's when you slip that stitch, it elongates that stitch across the color, and it gives you this illusion that you're doing fancy color work, when in fact, you're really not. You're just knitting stripes and slipping stitches. So you do the color work, and that's just very simple knitting in the round with color work. And once you finish the color work, then you start and the decrease part, and it's sort of like doing the top of a hat. You just decrease down until you get to the end. Now, this does get a little fussy. You're working with something very large, and this was done in an acrylic blend because it's going to get a lot of wear and tear, and you want to be able to care for it. You could definitely do it in wool if that's your thing, but I did it in acrylic. And so I recommended to steam block it, and what I did is I actually steam blocked it. Let me double check, because I tell you in the pattern, I steam blocked it before it was done, because you're really not going to be able to block it after it's stuffed. You have to, okay, so yeah, I blocked it once I finished the color work. The color work needs to be blocked. So I blocked the color work after it was done. I steam blocked it. If you're doing it in wool, you're going to need to wet block it, and got this all nice and neat before I started doing the decreasing, because afterwards it's going to be nearly impossible, because once you've started doing this decreasing, you're not going to be able to lay it flat. And so what I did is I laid it flat and steamed in sections and rolled it around and steamed it as we go. And then you're knitting in the round, and once you get it so there's like a hole about this big, then you have to stuff it, and you stuff it and you stuff it and you stuff it some more, and then you stuff it. I went to like Joann's and got the filler stuff. It's just the puffy stuff, polyfill. If you want it stiffer, you can use some of the foam fillers, or I know people stuff them with like old quilts and sheets or t-shirts, or I mean, if you got a whole pile of old stuffed animals, you just stuff it with whatever you want to make it stuffed, to make it, don't overstuff it because you will like stretch out the color, but make it to the shape that you like. And then once it's stuffed, you have to finish knitting it. And I'm not gonna lie, that part's fiddly. I literally finished the decreasing sitting on the bed. And what I did is I had it sitting on the bed and I had my legs like around it. And I had it in my arms and was like squishing it together to get that, you can see how you can squish it to get that part finished. It's fiddly at the end. You know, sometimes we have to suffer for our art. But once it's all done, and another thing I want to recommend is leave very long tails to weave in, because what I did is I did the finish and knotted it, and then I poked the needle in and like squished it until I pulled it out the side. And then once you get it out the side, I squished it down and cut it, and then when it pops back, the tail is inside here somewhere, so it's not gonna work its way out. If you leave a long tail, you're not gonna have that problem. So this is the Dewberry hassock. I am so happy that it's home. You can tell, it's just, I can't stop playing with it. It's a big squishy thing and it's lots of fun. I love the way that the multicolor worked in the Colorwork. Of course, you could do it in a solid. If you do the multicolor like this, one thing I recommend is make sure since I did it with 2 balls, I made sure that I wasn't starting at the same point of color change in both strands. I had them so they would mix them up. So if you're doing 2 strands, you can do that and it helps mix the variegation up better. So let me look at I printed this out because I don't have my cheat sheet because I'm not at my desk. And this yarn is going away because Craftsie's going away, but it was, as I said, it's acrylic wool worsted. So it was a blend. Let me see here, 50% acrylic, 50% wool. Lion Brand Woolies would work, and Woolies even comes in a bulky, so that would probably work. And it's a lot of fun. And then there's Patons. Patons has some, you just have to go look for it. You want either worsted held double or a bulky. And it took, okay. So the way it called is a total of 1,296 yards of the light color, and then a total of 432 yards of the dark color, but that's for the worsted. So if you're buying the bulky, you divide those in half to get the amount of yardage you need. And let's see in our pattern notes, the stitches this uses are knit, knit front back, knit 2 together, slip, and yarn over, and knitting through the back loop. That's it. So it's all very, very simple stitches. The only thing that gets to be challenging about it is, as I said, when you're getting into this decrease area, it gets fiddly and you got to just kind of squish it. I've had a couple people be like, how do you do this? And I'm like, not easily. But it's just, I mean, it's not difficult. It's just, you know, you got to manipulate it. Let's see here. I have both a chart and the written instructions. So if you don't do charts, if you don't like working from charts, you can work it entirely from written. It really is, you know, a very straightforward pattern, and I hope to see all y'all making your own poof, your own Dewberry hassock to have for fun in your life. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, click that like button. And if you would like to be notified whenever I upload a new video, please subscribe to my channel and select notifications. And let me know in the comments below, have you ever knit a pillow or something for your house? I don't know that people think about knitting like non-garmenty kind of things for your house as much. And let me tell you, it is a fun thing to have. Thank you so much.